Well, I'm not a swimmer, but I am doing the backstroke like one of our cruise lines is. Hey guys, I'm Michelle. Happy Saturday. It's March 21st, 2026, and this is Diaz on Deck Travel. So, if you're new here, welcome, and if you're not new here, welcome back. If you like the channel and you like the information that I share with you, please subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. And I have some other platforms that I post on, so why not like all of them and subscribe to all of them? Okay, let's get on board and get into it. So I've got 6 pieces of cruise news to share with you today. We've got what's going on in the Middle East and how it's affecting your cruise travels. We've got fuel surcharges. We have 20 cruises getting canceled. We have environmental thumbs up and thumbs down. And we have the cruise line that's backstroking a decision that they made in summer of 2025. And we've got chaos in the ports. Well, let's go on board and talk about it. First things first, let's talk about the war in the Middle East. The war in the Middle East is affecting a lot of things, but let me tell you how it's affecting your cruises and your travels. Well, right now, Celestial Cruises has suspended their cruises for the time being because they were doing cruises that did Abu Dhabi and Dubai. Well, when the war broke out, they were not able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, and so their ships kind of went limp in the water. Luckily, they were able to disembark all their passengers and get them home safely. But right now, the ships are just pretty much stagnant in the water until it's safe to pass again. They are uncertain as to when they will be able to resume their cruises, which are slated to go from Croatia and Santorini. I will keep you posted on that. Now, something else that you might see due to the war in the Middle East is fuel surcharges. And that not only can happen to your cruise, will affect airfare as well as cruise fares. But let's keep our fingers crossed because right now that hasn't affected anything in North America or Europe for cruising. But here's where we're at with that. 2 cruise ships have implemented the surcharge for fuel, and that is Dream Cruises Cruise Line Star Cruises. Now, the Genting Dream, they have implemented a $18.50 per passenger per day fuel surcharge for their cruises out of Singapore and Hong Kong. Now, let's do some quick math. If you add that up over a 7-day cruise, you're looking at an additional $129 to $179 on top of the cruise fare that you already paid. I don't know about you, I don't particularly like it, but if you go in depth and you read your cruise contract, they have the right to enact this if the fuel charges become exorbitant. So always, always, always be aware of what's in your cruise contract. Royal Caribbean sent out thousands of emails to their passengers letting them know that they have canceled 20 cruises on Freedom of the Seas. And that is the Freedom of the Seas sailings from May of 2026 through September of 2027. Now, this is 20 cruises that they've canceled, and it is impacting thousands of people. But here's where it's at. You can either get a full refund, you can either book a future cruise and get a future cruise credit, or just rebook the cruise altogether. But thankfully, they are letting people know with some advanced warning because sometimes these things happen with just days or weeks of notice. Now, some of the reasons that they cited: itinerary changes, port agreements, and operational needs. What do you guys think about that? Has this ever happened to you? I'm gonna knock on wood. I'm so grateful that that's never happened, but knowing my cruise contract, I always know it's a possibility. We also have some environmental concerns in the news for cruising. Carnival is partnering with Whittier, Alaska for shore power when their cruise ships are docked in Whittier. And those would be mostly their Princess line and their Holland America line, because those do the majority of the Alaska cruises, especially Princess, which you know is a division of Carnival. So you're not going to really feel an impact if your ship is connected to shore power. Basically, they just plug into the power grid that's available, and instead of emitting all the fumes and all the billowy smoke that you see when your cruise ship is docked, it'll be rerouted and directed away from the port. So that will give for a much nicer, cleaner air quality right around the port. Now, Viking is coming out with 2 zero-emission cruise ships, and these will be ocean liners. And, you know, if you know anything about Viking, their ocean liners are relatively small. They only carry about 499 rooms. So, again, not as big scale as some of our Icon class and our Oasis class and Excel class ships. But nonetheless, they are coming out with 2 zero-emission cruise ships. In the late 2026, we will have the Viking Libra, and in late 2027, we will have the Viking Astria. Ships will be a hybrid of liquefied hydrogen and fuel cells. So kudos to them on being one of the first with zero emissions. I can't wait to see how that turns out. Last environmental concerns that were in the news this week was the building of a new cruise port south of Tampa in Manatee County. It was near Terracea Aquatic Preserve, and Governor DeSantis gave it a big thumbs down. He said that there was no need for another cruise port in Tampa. Well, I don't know if he sails or not, but when you are like me and you like big ships and you cannot lie, you're not going to get that sailing out of Tampa because they cannot go under the Sunshine Bridge. So this was going to be built south of the Sunshine Bridge in Manatee County, and it was going to allow for larger ships because the project was going to actually dredge deeper to accommodate that. Well, Governor DeSantis voted that bill down, and he said there was no need for another cruise port. He said there would be no dredging that was not absolutely necessary to preserve the ecological environment, and therefore no Icon ships for us or Oasis class sailing from Tampa. What do you guys think about that? I mean, I know we were all pumped and excited, but apparently they got 19,000 signatures petitioning against it. So that's where it's at right now. So will it be revisited? Who knows? For the time being, you're going to have to stick to your major ports for Icon class, which is going to be Galveston in the future, currently Miami, Port Canaveral, and coming soon, Fort Lauderdale. Now, who's doing the backstroke? Well, it's Norwegian, and that's right. They backstroked their decision from this summer, 2025, to not have their drink package work on Great Stirrup Cay. So this is what happened. When they announced that they were going to be doing some additions and upgrading to Norwegian's private island, Great Stirrup Cay, they said, we are going to have a new drink package just for use on the island. Your ship drink package will not work. Well, apparently the outrage and the outpouring of comments, and I'm sure they felt some repercussions. People must have commented, canceled, who knows what, but they've backstroked that decision. Your drink package will now work on Great Stirrup Cay, the same package that you use while you're on your ship. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think that as we speak out as cruisers and tell the cruise lines how we feel about it or that we don't like it, do you think they'll backstroke some of the other decisions? We can only hope that Carnival will redo their decision on how they're treating their loyalty program, but stay tuned for that. And finally, cruise chaos in Port Miami. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever sailed out of Miami, but it's chaotic. And when I sailed out in 1997, it was chaotic then. And I'm sure there was maybe 3 or 4 ships sailing out. Well, any given weekend, you could have 8 or 9 cruise ships all sailing out of Miami at the same time. And it has created pandemonium. So there have been posts, I don't know if you've seen, traffic and lines of traffic to get into the port. And that's because they are doing construction on the tunnel. They are doing construction for a new parking facility. It's all just under construction. And, you know, all I can tell you is, first of all, if you're sailing out of a port and you don't live there or you're not in driving distance, always go the day before. And if you're staying at a hotel, see if they can transport you to the cruise port. I mean, you gotta be early. Early is the key. Even when I'm in driving distance, like to Tampa or Port Canaveral or Fort Lauderdale, I always go early. But what do you think about these photos of people getting out of their taxis and Ubers and walking with their luggage across the bridge? It's crazy. It's like a 3-hour wait to get into the port when it should be about 15 minutes. So I don't know how you feel about sailing out of Miami, but I would love to know what you think about that. Would you get out of your car and walk across and over a big bridge just to make it to your cruise on time? I know if I was in that situation, I would probably do the same thing. Now, I will tell you, one of the last times I went to Miami, I was not sailing, but I was down there for another cruise-related event. And when I got down there, I parked my car and I never took it out of the parking garage. Now, I'm a Miami girl. I grew up in Miami, and the driving down there is absolutely insane. I, as an experienced Miami driver, didn't even want to get on the streets. So what do you do when you're cruising out of Miami? Do you go in early? Do you fly in the day before? Do you park at the terminal? Tell me all about your experiences in Miami. I would love to know. So, you know, if we were allotted that cruise port in Tampa, probably would have alleviated some of the big ship energy that they're experiencing in Miami. But what do I know? All right, guys, comment down below, like, subscribe, do all the things, and I cannot wait to see you on deck for my next adventure.